you know, it's the center, and it can happen that we have problem to the second toe. So if you do, then we said I will use the midline to decide whether we're doing an abduction and adduction or medial lateral glide. So I'm using my midline. So my second toe, this will be abduction, this will be adduction. Okay. The other thing about the toes, we said that the distal bone is concave. Okay, of the MTP joints, we have distal bone concave. So according to the concave convex rule or convex concave rule, it means that if I have a concave bone moving on a convex bone, what's going to happen? My glide will be in the same direction of the bone motion. So my physiological movement associated with it will be in the same direction. So if I do, we said it yesterday as well, if I do a plantar glide, I'm going to work towards flexion of the toe. And if I do a dorsal glide, I'm going to work towards extension. And maybe to make sure it's clear also, like when do we assess glides? We assess, and which glides do we assess? Because you know there's multiple glides at different joints. You don't need to assess everything on every patient. Okay, you have to match your assessment with your subjective presentation and also your objective presentation based on the range of motion. And we said yesterday, if you have full physiological motion, you have full accessory motion. So if I assess the toe, the first MTP, and I saw, okay, flexion is full, extension is restricted, abduction and adduction are full, do I need to check all my glides? No, I just need to check the glides associated with extension, okay? And which would be the dorsal glide. So I'm going to assess on that patient the dorsal glide, okay? I mean, in theory, the other ones are full because you have full physiological motion. Okay, but now we're going to practice all of that. Okay, so just as usual, you stabilize the proximal bone, but you want to be as close as possible to the joint. Then I'm going to take my distal bone as close as possible to the joint. Resting position of the MTP is slight extension, so I can do just a little bit of extension. And then I'm going to do a plantar glide and assess neutral zone R1, R2. And then a dorsal glide, neutral zone R1, R2. Okay, so plantar glide associated with flexion, dorsal glide associated with extension. Okay, so once again, slight extension, then I press plantar glide, I assess it, I check neutral zone R1, R2. Okay, then when I want to check dorsal glide, a little extension, and I go the other way. Okay, so that's plantar dorsal, and then we have medial and lateral glide to assess. So for dorsal plantar, my hands are like on my distal bones. I have my thumbs and index finger on the anterior, the dorsal and plantar aspect of the bone. Now I'm going to switch them to the side. Okay, I'm going to have to switch them to the side to move it in the direction that I want to go. Okay, so you can still maintain anterior-posterior direction. If you feel that bone, the proximal bone is moving, you can also switch a little bit your hand to be a little bit on the side. And then, so I'm more on the side of the bone. And if I'm doing the first toe, if I'm doing a medial glide, I have to move it towards the second toe. Okay? I have to go in a bit of slight extension, move it towards the second toe. If I'm doing a lateral glide of my big toe on my first MTP, I'm going to move it away from the second toe. And I assess neutral zone, R1, R2. Okay? And then you can do the same with all of the other toes. Okay, let's just do another one, if I can, because this is not moving very much. Okay, so if I do the third toe, and I'm doing a medial and lateral glide, I make sure I'm very close to the joint line on either hand, on my hands. And proximal bone, I'm stabilizing it. Distal bone, I'm going to move it. I need to bring in slight extension, and then I do a medial glide when I move towards the second toe, and a lateral glide when I move towards the lateral toes. Okay? And if I'm doing a plantar glide, you won't be able to see it. But I think it was clear with the first one. Okay? So that's for the MTPs. For the IP joints, okay, distal bone, once again, is concave. Okay? So it moves in the same direction. So a plantar glide will also be associated with flexion. A dorsal glide will be associated with extension. It is a modified stellar joint, so it only has a 1 degree of freedom, flexion, extension. Okay, so I'm going to do my glide like this. Now the difference here is that the resting position is slightly different. Instead of being slight extension, it's slight flexion. Okay, so I'm stabilizing my proximal bone. I'm putting my fingers very close to the joint line on my distal bone. I'm going to induce just a slight flexion, and then I'm going to glide plantar direction. Assess my neutral zone R1, R2, so that's my plantar glide. And then I'm going to move the opposite way for my dorsal glide. Neutral zone R1, R2. Any questions so far? Okay. Just quickly, can I get someone? Yes? Okay.
One second. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, for the MTP, you're supposed to put it in slight extension, and the IP, it's supposed to be in slight flexion?
Exactly. Just look at your resting position, and you just you put the joint in the resting position. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Just turn off the ceiling mic now. Perfect. Okay, any other questions? We're good? Okay, just quickly, can I get someone quick? Take off your sock. Okay. I'll do it on the side just for camera purposes. Hey, Crystal, I need some assistance here. Okay, I'm going to do it quickly, okay, on her. Okay, so you find your joint line, okay, you make sure that you stabilize the proximal bone, then my fingers are really close to one another, they're pretty much touching, okay? Put just a tiny bit of extension, then I can do a plantar glide, assess neutral zone R1 or 2, okay? And then I can do a dorsal glide, neutral zone R1 or 2. Once you're done assessing, play with your treatment, okay? So then I can do the different grading that we just talked about, okay? Grade 1, you won't be able to see much, okay? Grade 2, I'm doing a larger oscillation. Now, grade 3, and grade 4. Okay, so you can play with that as well. Okay. Then you can't see very well, but for the medial and lateral glide, okay, I'm stabilizing it a tiny bit more on the side of the bone, and my fingers are very close to one another again. A little bit of extension. I glide laterally right now, and then I glide medially. One thing I forgot to do: traction, compression. Okay. So I forgot to do that with the bone model, so it's not very complicated. Okay, anterior and dorsal, plantar and dorsal aspect of the joint, flat extension, and then I put a traction on the toe. Okay, I pull them apart, pull the bone apart for traction, push them together for compression. Okay, so don't forget to try those as well. So for the MTP, traction, compression, dorsal glide, plantar glide. For the IP joints, okay, I only have, I didn't do the traction compression either, so let's do that. Okay, so traction, so I stabilize proximal bone with the distal bone. Compression, okay, and then I do plantar glide, and then the dorsal glide. Okay, and play with your neutral zone R1, R2 to start with, assess it. Once you've assessed it, play with a different grading system for treatment. Okay? Any questions or anything to add? Okay. Show the toes. Okay, it can be quite tricky. Medial lateral. Okay. Okay. So showing medial lateral glide on a third or a fourth toe. Okay, so if I do the third toe here, sort of hard, you can't really go on the side. I can't grasp anything. So I need to make sure that you have thumb and index on the third toe, and you can grasp the rest of the lateral toes also to have a firm grip like this. And then I'm gonna go. I need to find my joint. Okay, and I need to go very close to my joint line. Then I put it in slight extension, and then I can do my glide from there. Okay, that's anterior posterior, and then I move my finger in between the toes to do the medial. I'm doing lateral glide right now, and then medial glide. So yes, it is harder. Yeah, you can change a little bit the position here. Yeah. So maybe I'll show it here. Oops, what do you want to do? Okay, sort of thing, but maybe more closer. Okay. So if I'm doing, but I think the view would be better if we're like this. Okay. Up. Okay, let's try this. So if I'm doing the third toe, and if I'm gliding laterally, means that this bone, I gotta make sure it doesn't go lateral. So you can put the thumb a little bit on the lateral side of the bone while I do my glide. And then when I glide medially, I don't want this bone to go with it. So I need to put it a little bit more on the medial side like this. Okay, so you can't grasp the way I was grasping the first toe. Okay, but you won't be able to do so. You're just blocking with your thumb from one side and the other. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any questions? Okay, so do the assessment and the